What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Knowledge Boner Experience. New and improved, revamped. We're super pumped and excited to be bringing it back. And yeah, we're sticking with the name. Got a lot of feedback from great people. And I just love the premise of the show. I have our same special guests that we, as always, right? Wally and his brother Fung. What's up, guys?
What up? What up? Pleasure to be here. Typically, I'm the guy cutting video. I'm in the back, so I'm never on camera. So this is kind of cool to be on camera. And this is, this is nice. Like my background.
Yeah, your background's super dope. Yeah, it's awesome. So,
Yes,
hey, I'm
super
Wally. You guys definitely heard from me before, and I'm super excited to be back as co-hosting the podcast. I'll be on some episodes. I don't know if I'll be on like all 100 like we did originally, but I think that I'll definitely be on occasion. So, super excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't know Wally's story, all you gotta do is go back to the beginning of the podcast and hear his story. His drug dealer story. It's pretty. That episode was popping.
Yeah, I used to tell, like, it's funny how many of my team and like people that I've met across time have now like listened to that and been like, oh my god, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. So if you're brand new to the show, right, this is new. Originally, the podcast was all audio. Now we're going to be actually streaming on the YouTube channel. So some of you guys may be seeing this for the first time. Then follow me on YouTube. Welcome to the show. The entire premise of this show is to bring you those aha light bulb moments that we have deemed knowledge boners, right? So every time you have a breakthrough and epiphany, we deem that, congratulations, you had a knowledge boner. That's what it's all about, right? Learning and having those light bulb moments and having breakthroughs in your business. So the show is, of course, for people that are, into business and entrepreneurship. And what better way to have aha moments than by seeing both sides of the story, right? And I feel like in the terms of marketing and stuff, we've all been taught, of course, be polarizing and throw rocks at other things and have people on your beliefs. But when you hear both sides of the spectrum on two different viewpoints, that's when real breakthroughs actually happen, right? Like, oh, I agree with that. I disagree with this. So that's what it's all about. I can't wait to have a lot of upcoming special guests on the show. But I want to give a recap. So when we first did this, I mean, gosh, we launched a show like when, Wally? It's been like 2 years?
Well, longer than that, 2019. So it's 3 years now. Yeah,
3 years now.
3 years
Yeah.
now.
When we first, launched the show, our goal was just to do like 100 episodes. And then up through that journey, we've had some really big special guests on the show, right? Which is so funny, kind of carrying into it. What a lot of people here viewing the show don't know is, what's been going on from 2019 to now. All of us have actually been pretty wildly successful with our businesses. And if you guys go back to the show, our original goal was to get Wally's mentor, right? Or ended up becoming mentored by Jason Capital, right? So to this day, Jason Capital is one of our biggest episodes that people have tuned into. And then, at his events, right? We obviously told this journey on the show. We went to the event, got him on the podcast. And then afterwards, one of his speakers at the event, Sharon Sravista, who sold a company for $3.5 billion, not only came onto the show, but then came my mentor, right? And then another guest speaker of the show, the infamous Kevin Hutto, who is absolutely amazing, became mentored to Fung over here.
Rest in peace, Kevin Hutto.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Definitely rest.
As the,
RIP.
to this day,
The goat.
as far in my eyes, going to be the OG when it comes to marketing, right?
100%.
I'll never forget the excitement we had when he came on stage. Everything was kind of like really marketing from people. This guy walks out with a pen, board,
And we knew just from him looking, we're like, this guy knows some stuff. We're like, man,
Yeah.
look at him. Like that looks like the guy in the back, the Mad Hatter, the Mad Chemist, Yeah.
Yeah. The guy that walks out and just says, cool, I'm not going to give you any fluff. Let's just go right into it. And he's like, I'm not a guru. I'm just going to teach you. And then we knew, like, wait a second, we should probably pay attention to this guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. And we joke around a lot on this show too about how we're all anime lovers. And there was a reference that I had made to Fung before about an anime called Naruto. And in Naruto, there's these legendary people called the Three Sanin. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, when you think about it, we're like all being mentored by multimillionaires right now. And it's almost like they're the Three Sanin in Naruto. Fung's like, huh. you know what, you're kind of right. Like, Wally's got Jason Capital, Fung's got Kevin Hutto, I have Sharon, and we all kind of stayed in contact. But the irony of it is that in Naruto, one of the legendary Sanin, who we all agreed who was Kevin Hutto, right?
Yeah.
Pervy Sensei. I mean,
Yeah.
just couldn't, nothing fills that any better. Passed away in Naruto, and then lo and behold, when he passed away in real life, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, did I jinx it by making the reference? And but yeah, very, very, very sad to see him go due to COVID. So, and he's touched definitely so many people. Every single person that we know that have had business with him has said nothing but amazing things about Kevin. So
Yeah,
definitely recommend looking into his content.
We actually in Jason's team, because I worked in Jason's team for the last couple of years, we actually hired Kevin Hutto to come in as like our marketing guru, like Mad Hatter for a little bit. So I got to spend a little time with him, and it was like the goal was to get like a marketing MBA from Kevin Hutto, like while he was consulting us. So that was really cool to like work with him and learn a lot. So I have nothing but like respect for that man for sure.
Yeah, I think about that. If those are fans of the show, and a lot of listeners here are huge fans of JC as well, right? I mean, JC went to Kevin for consulting. That just to show you the level of knowledge that Kevin had on the back burner. So, but hey, on the plus side, I mean, Fung, you're one of the last people to be under his wing, man, and you've learned some stuff.
Yeah, man, it was super interesting, right? So to your point, when we got to see Kevin Hutto on stage at High Status Summit, I thought that was at that point in time, I hadn't really got mentored by anybody or like wanted to be mentored by anybody. And he just reminded me of just like one of my old friends from Louisiana just showed up on stage, like not giving two shits about anybody. It's like, look, this is what works. Take it or leave it. Right. And I remember looking at you guys and I was like, that's the guy I want to be mentored by. When he opens up a coaching program, now I'm in. And sure enough, at the beginning of 2021, he opened up a program called Digital Oil Wells. And this was the concept of like creating your path to freedom by creating these oil wells that generated you income. It's earned income that eventually turns into passive income. Right. And so it's like just like this chart that he built on time and effort. The amount of time, the amount of effort that you put in right now on projects. And then over time, the effort gets less and less as you get results. And then your profit margins once your profit margin hits, like it was game over. I'll never forget that email. I remember I texted Wally. I was like, Wally, Kevin just released a program. I think I'm going to get in it. I'm going to see what's up. He was like, do it, man. And he was like, I strongly want to invest into a mentor. And while he's like, I'm over here in Puerto Rico hanging out with JC, like, see what you got. And sure enough, this dude knew his stuff, right? He was a former Wall Street guy. So he's actually a former sales guy, just like yourself, Dylan, like straight cold dials. He knows like the sales game. Was in that for in his 20s, early 20s is when he started that career. And then eventually got really good at the internet in the early 2000s and was figured out that he was pretty good at advertising, and then built a marketing agency, stepped away from Wall Street, built a marketing agency, and then was just super depressed about his agency. He worked with Verizon and AT&T, like back in the early days of like the internet. He helped people with their early advertising, which was really interesting to learn. I was like, holy crap, this guy knows his shit,
Then walks out on stage and is like, yeah, guys, having an agency and client sucks.
yeah. He's like
agency clients suck.
Yeah. Because when he built that agency, he built the exact thing that he hated, and then ended up not even selling, like pretty much gave away his ownership to the other partners, and dwelled on this idea of like, there's got to be a way to create these systems and make money from the internet without having to like have a shit ton of clients, right? And sure enough, he his favorite project in like 2009, he came up with this idea. Sitting in a bar, he had 2 beers and a napkin, pretty much, and wrote out this sales letter, this idea and concept of something called for the hustler secret. And this is for golfers. So he was a big golf advocate. He played golf as a kid with his dad and had a mentor in golf that would go and play tournaments. In like the 80s, this was before the internet was really around, and they would go out and hustle on these guys at these tournaments, right? And there was a particular trick that they used in order to like get the beginning part of the game going, right? And so in golf, there's in the beginning part, you're driving the ball, right? And so you're out there, you have to like hit the ball as far as you can, straight as possible without it curving left and right. A lot of people slice the ball, right? It's like it goes to the left or goes to the right all the time. Doesn't matter who you are, it happens. And so he had this, his mentor had taught him this trick to use, essentially the secret to, if you take this polishing cloth with this little bit of substance and rub it on the face of your club, you'll drive the ball straighter than an arrow, or you drive the ball 200 yards straighter than an arrow every single time. Kevin didn't believe it at first, but then when he started doing it, they started winning tournaments. He was like, holy shit, because he was making money from it, And then when his mentor passed, he felt like the way, while he was sitting in that bar, drinking, a little two beers, trying to figure out his life, he was like, this is what I'm going to sell. It's like, that's a tutelage to my mentor. Like, I would do him a disservice if I didn't try to make money off of this. That's because that's what they did, was made money, And what he did was this substance, all it was Vaseline. He literally went to Walmart, bought a $3 tub of Vaseline and like 90-cent green food color dye, mixed it up in a bag and put it in a dip can, right? One of those old dip cans, took all the tobacco out, filled it up, clear all the label out, wrote Hustler's Secret on it, and sold it for $50 on the internet. For like, from like 2009 to like 2014, he made anywhere from like 3 to 4 million, I think, off of that one product.
Margins are nuts on that, by the way.
Like $3 and a $3 tube, he probably made
like 80%, like 85% probably after shipping.
80%. Yeah. Like he make like 10 or 12 of those cans off of one tube, maybe, right? Like, there's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm so sad they passed away too, because I was really excited to eventually have him on the show. I mean, in terms of knowledgeable inner moments, I remember sitting by Fung when he was on some of those coaching classes, and the ideas and the stories that Kevin was saying, and me sitting right next to him, I'm just like, wow. I mean, some huge mind blowing. I mean, talking back end strategy. Remember when he first started talking about like taxes and crypto and his masterminds and stuff. And I was just like, like, I was literally just stunned. Like, holy cow, that's like next level stuff. Right. But it didn't even make sense unless you're doing like $1 million a month at that point. Like, that's just to show you the level of it here. But
he would show up on our coaching calls to give everybody context, like how he liked to live his life. He would show up on his coaching calls next to his pool. I remember one time he showed up, he was actually in his pool, shirtless, smoking his cigars, and goes, "What's up, mofos?" Right? And I was like, all right, this is the mentor I want to learn from, right? Like, because he didn't have to be there. He willingly built this program to teach other people the same concept because of his life, So may he rest in peace for sure. Unfortunate. I definitely learned a lot. It was, I learned a lot. He was definitely a conspiracy theorist too. So that's like, heavy conspiracy theorist. So like that gave him a lot of insight on psychology.
So let's start with you. Let's start with you, Fung, because one thing I want to do is not only are we revamping the show, but we've all had a long break of literally being mentored by multimillionaires, right? And we've all grown hugely. I know, especially you two, a lot. I don't think a lot of people know how much in the behind the scenes of some of the stuff you guys are doing. It's pretty crazy. But for you, right, and following in his footsteps and kind of being that tutelage, right? Like what's next for you, right? So why don't you kind of fill everybody in on the growth? Also tell them about what you guys have going on right here in the Florida area with y'all's networking event, because you guys are doing some pretty big stuff.
Yeah. So essentially what's next for me, what was happening is that I didn't really want to build an agency either. I didn't want to onboard a lot of clients. And so the concept of oil wells, where you just, you can have an idea and sell a product or an info product, physical or info product online, anywhere from 25 to like I think like $70 was the number that he put, and you can make anywhere from like if you made anywhere from 500 to like 6 figures a month. He's like, that's pretty good, right? With minimal effort, low overhead, very, very low fulfillment, so that's what I was learning in his program. Essentially was trying to figure out these products and ideas. But his thing was pay to play, right? And so I'm not, at the time, I don't have the cash flow really to be like just throwing ad dollars like he's doing. He's like, yeah, just test this out right here, just throw some ad money at him. I'm like, well, what's the organic way to like do this, right? I was like, he's like, oh yeah, just go into some Facebook groups and things like that, and like network your way in there and see how you can get like some just some bites, right? And so the concept I had was creating this water report, because I'm an affiliate for a water machine, and it's a 5K product. And this is sitting in his program. He said, write a list of ideas out there, what you think they would work. So I had like 20 ideas. He shot them all down and said, I had like a travel idea. I had I actually have a bug spray idea, which I think would work, just because of the training that I went through. But I had a lot on my list based just stuff off of information. Like I wanted to do something off of anime to try to create Jiraiya's like erotic books, because he also created an erotic novel series under the alias Sandy Stroker. You can look him up on Amazon. 100% one of the like fairy tales, erotica novels. One of the best sailors. It was
how crazy is it that it's that similar to Jiraiya, by the way? Like how crazy is that?
So similar. I thought it was insane. I mean, I didn't believe him. He was like, oh yeah, it totally worked. He's like, I bought the rights to this lady's photos, created a Twitter account, like created a Facebook page. He was like, I knew this idea was gonna work. All he did was hire editors and writers to write it, right? And it generated in him anywhere from like 1 month it would generate him like 2K, but it would always generate him like 200 to $300 a month, right? Just randomly. And that payment that came in through his bank account, his wife was always embarrassed when it came in. She's like, I can't believe you're still getting paid from this. So to that, I'm building some of these small projects. So I built a water report that was like a custom report for people, and then I'm getting a bite on it. And I sold 2 of them for $25, and then actually upsold one into a water machine. I was like, yeah, it actually worked. I struck oil. And then I was like, well, it took a lot of like more research and stuff like that to do the water report, because then I was like, like what else can I do that's like really in my wheelhouse and like what's really works for me. So taking all the things that I really learned in his program, I was really trying to figure out what my strengths were, right? And so what my strengths were at that time was that I was trying to get really embedded into the community here in St. Pete. And I really wanted to see how the local business was going to like improve, like the local economy was going to do here, since St. Pete's a growing city that had the pier that was built just a couple of years ago. When we lived here first, the pier wasn't built. So St. Pete was a pretty small town, like really, really small town at the time. It wasn't like as thriving as like Tampa or anything was. And now St. Pete's like practically like about to compete with Tampa as far as like tech space and things like that. So I saw an opportunity to create a community, because for us, while we were in Dallas, we did a lot of networking groups. Ironically enough, Wally and I do online marketing and advertising, and our entire business is built offline, right? Like every single client that we acquired has met us face to face, and we've actually either had a cup of coffee with them, we shared a meal with them, we've laughed. No crying, I don't think, but yeah, I have questions.
Wally's like,
happy tears,
happy tears more likely, but Yeah, so like our entire business structure was built offline, and that was like the really interesting part to me because we're helping people build their online brands, their online profiles, building these email campaigns, writing blogs, creating social media strategies for these guys, and so I was like, I saw an opportunity to create a local networking group here because the one we attended in Dallas was what helped us grew our group, grew our business, so I can kind of give everybody context of that. While Wally and I were in Dallas from 2018 to 2020, the end of 2020, we just did business the traditional way. We got tired of like going through Facebook groups and going through people's Instagram followers, DMing people. And it's like I'd rather just talk to somebody face to face, right? Because that's just how traditional business is done. And we come from a family of entrepreneurs too. Like that's how my dad built his business. He had to learn English and build his business, handshaking people with a different language barrier, right? And then built a brand. My dad became successful in his own right. So using that as a model, I was like, well, how do I do it here, right? And I spent the time to be a customer of just about everybody here all in 2021 in order to like cultivate that, right? So, and while we were in Dallas, we were a part of this networking group that would meet once a week, and they would do 30-second pitches and 30-second testimonials with the opportunities of one-on-ones. But in these one-on-ones, you couldn't sell anybody. You had to ask two questions, and it was, how can I help you? And who are you looking for? So by asking these two questions, you get an inside look in your business just from somebody who you've never met, right? And if you sold somebody, that means if you tried to sell them your services and they didn't buy from your pitch, then you were not invited back to the group, right? Like there was like a strict policy that you could not sell. We're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So we had to figure out ways on how to really, really build relationships, and that as we were in the cusp of really, really like building our business, networking and stuff like that, the pandemic hit, right? In the middle of 2020, all of a sudden we get our physical business all of a sudden gets taken out from the knees, and we're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? But it was a blessing in disguise because what happened, it forced everyone else to actually enter the online space. So now everyone's meeting online, everyone's cool with phone calls, the whole 6 feet apart. And then that's when we saw our opportunity to move to St. Pete. We were like, oh, well, everyone can be online now. We're good. Like, let's go back to an area where not necessarily we can start over, but really try to figure out like what kind of community we can be a part of, right? If Dallas is a bustling city and the pandemic all of a sudden shut it down, no one's going out and seeing each other, what places are open, right? So I ended up coming back here to Florida, coming to hang out with you. And then at the beginning of 2021, Wally was in Puerto Rico, I was here in St. Pete. And then, yeah, all of 2021, I became a customer of everybody, and I decided to build a local network of who I thought was going to be entrepreneurs and just regular business owners, but it actually was what I thought was going to be a networking group decided to grow and develop for community growth, supporting local businesses.
Oh, people love it. Like
and business
feedback,
education.
The feedback from y'all's events that you guys are doing every single month, like it's just so cool to hear the people, just the change in people. I think coming up, this is going to be your third or fourth?
Fourth one.
Number 4 coming up, right? And
next Thursday.
And I don't think the people listening understand the extent, like literally, like especially Fung, because he's been here longer than Wally while he was in Puerto Rico. Fung's like literally a local celebrity. Like, you cannot walk downtown St. Pete without him just fist bumping somebody walking by. Like everyone knows him. He's been putting like literally, like if there's any like doubling down and focusing on one thing, this guy every single day. Like I don't think I've ever seen a full day where you didn't go into downtown from your place. Like you've been to brutally shaking hands, meeting people face to face, like literally practicing what he's preaching to the thing. And what's really cool, because when you think about it, even like football, like and people in NFL, everyone starts as a local authority. right? You school kids on the football field for your high school, and everyone knows your name in the high school area. And then you go to college, and then the entire area of the city knows you in college. And then when you go to the next level, then you kind of become like a celebrity across the world, but everything has to start locally. So it's really cool to see how much of a St. Pete authority you two have truly become in the community as a go-to, and the relationship building is next level. But more importantly, the value you guys are giving is expecting nothing in return. You guys really kind of Gary VS that up. So,
well, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And it wasn't until recently that me and Wally figured out what we wanted to offer everybody because of that, right? We finally, in business, a lot of the times, especially in our space, right? People try to figure out what's your next offer? What are you going to do? Right. Thanks to the networking group, we were able to figure out what we were going to offer. I won't tell anybody. You'll find out later. Maybe you can come to my network group. Yeah.
Let's put down the details below the video too on YouTube. If anyone is in the Florida area, I know my audience is pretty wide. There's a lot of people in other countries, but if you are in Florida and near Clearwater, St. Peter, Tampa, definitely come to the networking events. I'll put the details down below so people can check that out. But yeah, dude, that's huge. So very, very big growth there. Really excited to see what you guys do coming up with that. And while we're on the subject of Puerto Rico, right? Wally, for those that are tuning in the show before, I think it was at the point when you were getting ready to go and move, right? Now we did an episode of you kind of talking about the tax benefits. You're talking about taxes and stuff and why you were leaving. And then now people are like, wait, what? What's he doing back? So it's no secret, right? Jason Capital has talked about this before. He lost his Instagram account, set up a new one. It happens in business. Facebook and IG, man, they're a mind of their own. They suck when it comes to entrepreneurs. They super picky, right? So once that happened, JC had to let go of the team. And so now Wally is back here, which is pretty cool as a free agent doing his own thing. And, also it's no secret, dude, you made a lot of money with JC, man. like a lot of money working with him. And I know you made him a lot of money. So why don't you kind of fill people in on, how you developed kind of being with him for years, and how you're going to transition that into your company now. And then I have a lot of questions for you specifically, because I think it'd be really valuable for people to see the change from somebody working with a mentor up like that close for a long period of time, and then kind of transitioning to be like their own entrepreneur. Huge light bulb moments for people here. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, just to give context. So back in 2020, I was, I got invited to speak at High Status Summit, which is Jason Capital's, his in-person event. It was the last one. And so I spoke at that event, and then right afterwards, like probably within a month, I was invited to come full-time onto the team. So that was in 2020. And so that's kind of where I started with Jason Capital, like in terms of like actually working in the business. Because before I had been just a customer, and then I'd been invited events, and he just knew me as like an agency owner, you know what I mean, at that point. And I had been consulting. I actually ran the High Status Summit 2020 campaign as a consultant for his business. I sold all the tickets. I did the mini chat stuff, like all that. We sold around 850-ish tickets overall, and we had around 600 people show up or so, which is pretty dope. And I sold those tickets. That was like one of my biggest event campaigns. So that was like a huge win for me.
Great numbers.
Yeah, I was super excited at the turnout for sure. And so right after that is when I came on full time for his team, because he was starting to test out the chat stuff, right? Selling by chat, and they had already built a system for Instagram, right? It wasn't automated. There was no IG automation that there is available today. That didn't exist yet. So it was just very they were kind of breaking the surface of Instagram. I think they had their first they had consistently were doing had 5-figure months, and then they did their first 6-figure month on Instagram around whenever I came in, which is pretty dope. And so then the reason that I came in was because they had started a second team. Jason also has a really big TikTok account. It has 2.7 million followers now at this point, but it was in its infancy of growing at that point. I think we were probably at maybe 500K or more, but stuff was just going crazy viral. And so they were like, oh, well, we already have this chat stuff figured out on Instagram. What if we could do it on TikTok too, right? And they didn't have anybody to kind of help with the Facebook stuff. But then they found out, oh shit, there's automation on that side too, because they found out about ManyChat. So that's what they got interested in, kind of figuring out how they could utilize automation, so to speak. So So that's why I kind of came in as that component, as well as knowing the chat stuff. Does that make sense?
Was TikTok very strict with like the kind of terms of service and rules like IG was at that point?
So no, not exactly. TikTok was more of like the Wild Wild West,
Mm.
and you could kind of, and like so the way to think about TikTok back then was kind of like real estate, right? And so like you would post a video, and let's say that video went viral, right? Well, that video continues to go viral even if you post another video, if that makes sense, right? So there's like this nice scaling effect that happened as you got multiple viral videos in a row. So what we found out is we were posting like 3 times a day on TikTok, and we were like, okay, well, we're getting viral like on one of these videos. What if we posted like 5 times a day? Let's just see like what's the difference, right? Posted 5 times, and then it started growing more and more stuff went viral. Like, what if we just post more? Like, what happens if we do more?
Yeah,
So
the
then we
whole
went to
viral,
7.
the whole volume game, like Hermosi was talking about. You just post more,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So then we went to 7, and we're in it, and it just kept on going. We went more, but we found out that diminishing returns came too high after like 7. So we just stayed around like 5 to 7 posts a day on TikTok for a long time. So as that was growing up, we started driving leads into Facebook, right? A Facebook page through ManyChat. And then that's where I came in, was helping that team overall. And so I came in as a consultant at first. They weren't paying me a lot, but then basically there was a guy that running that team, and he, like, for whatever reason, decided to leave. And so then I came in and filled in that position full time for them, where I oversaw the chat team. So I was basically the chat sales manager for the mini chat teams in Jason Capital's business at first.
What are the biggest skills you think you learned over that? Because obviously, like, probably like leadership. I know you did a lot of team management, but over the whole like 2 years, what would you say kind of like the 3 main skills that really kind of added on that elevated you to like where you are now?
Yeah, so I would say that I got really good at figuring out what's a priority and what's not a priority in terms of the business, like what needs to get done today and how and why it needs to get done today versus like the other things that are kind of in the list, so to speak. So prioritization, obviously team management, as you said before, like running a big team, like that's important. And then building SOPs, right? Like the organizational side of the business, like, great, we have a process that works. Okay, how do we make sure that everybody does the same process and it's uniform across the board? So that way we get good results and we can continue to increase those results, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I remember too, you were kind of struggling with the whole duplication thing, like I was, right? You realize you're like, crap, you can't duplicate yourself. It was the same thing for me in sales too. So did the SOPs like help in that aspect, or how did you kind of get to the point where you're able to kind of simplify things down to that level?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And so basically where that came in specifically was more um making the task easier. You know what I mean? Like for me, I can do like some complex tasks and think about it together and that kind of stuff. But people need a lot of step-by-step instructions, right? And they need a lot of repetition too in that training. So what I found is that the better my processes were and the more simple they were to follow for them, then it's really easy for them to kind of like grasp it, one, and then I can give them more complex tasks later, so to speak.
Awesome, man. Yeah, there's an awesome class. I'm in Sharon's mastermind, and Jace Capital actually taught an amazing class. And you talk about knowledgeable in our moments, dude. He was dropping some bombs, man. Like he's still, just because he lost his account, everyone here, I promise you, Jace, he's still killing it. He's still doing very well. But one thing I'm really intrigued by, I actually, just full transparency, everybody listening, right? Between me and Funk here, even while he was working with JC, I mean, he made more money than me and Funk combined. Like, I mean, Wally's absolutely ripping it. And the sleeveless hero over here, which is so funny. Your outfit kind of reminds me of what I saw JC wearing when he was teaching the class. Lo and behold, kind of interesting there. But I don't think Wally copied JC. I think Wally had it first.
I'm just saying, this is what I wore on every team call for like 2 years, like 18 months.
You can see older content of Wally too, and not wearing sleeves. I'm pretty sure there's an episode out there of him saying that he hates sleeves.
Yeah, the mentee maybe rubbed off on the sensei there.
Just saying.
So one thing that I think really interesting for a lot of people to hear, right? So from you going from learning under somebody of that caliber, you're kind of in a very unique situation because with your skill set and clientele to take and level up what you have, there's so many key components that there has to be in place for you for an ideal avatar, right? I mean, you know, Jason had a team, he had like all this branding awareness and stuff. So for you to actually go model and duplicate everything you just did, it's like such a rarity of finding that, right? Because there's just all the key components, otherwise it just wouldn't make sense. But I think right now in the marketplace, there's this whole thing on, what do you call it? What's the syndrome where imposter syndrome, right? There's all thing on imposter syndrome. And I used to feel like, you know how a lot of people will try to overcome the belief of imposter syndrome and just say, hey, you should charge what you're worth, you know, go high ticket, whatever. And a lot of people are like, well, I mean, I haven't really done anything. Can I really just jump on a high ticket? And now later, after being in business so long and seeing people out in the marketplace, I kind of disagree with that now, right? I really feel like you have to have some kind of like proof of results to be able to do stuff. And for you being in the position you're in, it's kind of different and unique because you've proven that you can get results, right? But how do you feel going into it, knowing that, okay, you know, here I am, Wally, I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to build my own brands. I know I could successfully make other people that have a successful brand, all this money, right? That's your value proposition. And then going out and now teaching and being your own entrepreneur, you know, how does it affect your mindset when now it comes into like your pricing options and stuff and the value you give to people? Do you still feel like, well, I know I have the skill, I can add this much value to anyone and make them all this money? Or do you feel like you need to prove it to yourself that you can do it for yourself first, or someone not at his level? Or do you think that you can just go and jump right into it?
Great question. So the 5-second version is, I think that I can jump right into it. But it's probably not for the reason that you think, because my value prop is not the same anymore, if that makes sense. So like, because example right there, you kind of mentioned where it's like your value prop is you can, you know, if people have all these certain conditions, I can make them a lot of money, right? Now, what's people may not think about is like the utility aspect, right? And I'll talk about utility now in just a moment, but it's like, I think if utility is like your skills, right? The things that you're good at. So for me, like, yes, like technically you're right. Like if I were to promise that one thing to one person, that would take all my time, right? But I have a whole lot of skills that are monetizable and people will pay like medium to aggressive rates on those skills. For example, like, great, you're a business owner and you're working in the business too much and you want to build another revenue stream. I can help you build SOPs to give to your VA, and you can then now automate your business and you can go focus on something else, right? That is worth quite a bit of chunk of change to the right person, right? So now I have all these individual skills that I can help people with, besides just having this one big robust thing that I offer somebody. And what's cool is that all these skills don't necessarily require me a lot of time to deliver, right? I can build SOPs really fast, for example, because I had to do it so much and had to do so much hiring extensive. Like if the right person wants that and they see it as a value of $10,000, great. That took me like 2 hours to build and I got $10,000, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So are we going to see more personal branding, Wally? Because like, listen, so you literally in a situation where you saw like, dude, Jason is really good. He's a marketer. He gets all this attention and stuff. Do you still see yourself being kind of like just behind the scenes, like with your clients, or when are we going to get to see the JC Wally of personal branding and stuff, or that's not even something you care for?
You know, that's a great question as well. And I think you will start seeing stuff, to be honest. I've been kind of like thinking about the kinds of content that I want to post and the stuff that I want to do. And actually I've hired a coach for this as well. And so he's actually like pushing me to start curating and do more things as well. He calls it, you know, influence, right? And it's like, he's like, dude, you have influence, like you can kind of change people's perspective on like how to make money. And so you should definitely like kind of push that around and see what happens. So I'm definitely interested in curating some more stuff for sure.
Why am I just now finding out that you hired a coach here on the podcast and not behind the scenes? This is new information to me. So I'm a little hurt. That's new for everybody. Knowledge, water, experience right there. Oh my gosh.
I've never hired a coach, you know, and you know that, like I never have. And this whole time, I've been working with JC. I learned from experience and that kind of stuff. And, you know, I wanted to hire somebody that was going to like help me like kind of shake off some residue and like get me to a point where I could actually like perform and do the things that I need to do, which has been really awesome so far.
Same. Yeah. I'm now like invested into masterminds, like coaching. I'm actually hiring staff, employees, helping things with like the show and content. I think what's
And
really cool.
I paid 5 figures for this coach just for anybody listening. So like
You're going
definitely
to listen.
pay for
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah.
Like it's important. Like, yes, I get it. Like it is a lot of money sometimes, but like if you can, you get the knowledge, or if it takes you to the next level and you can like make, increase your income by 20, 30, even 50%, then like that was worth the investment every time, right?
For sure. I think honestly, the biggest growing point for me over the years is like, I'm not at the like kind of nerves phase anymore when it comes to investing. Like I'm so confident in the amount of the skills that I've grown over the years that I can objectively look at, okay, I can easily see the ROI of me doing this. Like if I can just, even if I just do this one thing, right, it's going to be there. So there's no kind of like, can I do it? I think all three of us are there, right? We're just like, because we know
I literally don't like,
hard
like
when you
how
don't
much
have
is it?
skills, right? It's
Yeah.
hard when you don't have skills.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I think for us, kind of from years ago, and we hear this from, gurus and coaches all the time, they all say like, you have to get the skills first. And we hear it so much, but it never really clicks as to why. But now I truly see why, taking the years like all three of us did, and just focusing on the skills, not overcomplicating. And now we have the skills. Like, dude, I know if I lose everything right now, I can literally go and just create money out thin air. I can do sales. Like I've gotten from the time that I was doing it before, even on the show, like I've elevated to a new level in terms of calls and stuff like that. Right. And, Fung's been writing the copy for y'all's, your stuff. Like I've been seeing the emails for y'all's event, and Fung's copy is getting damn good too.
Yeah.
I went to him and I was like, did Wally help you with this? He's like, no. I was like, what? Look at you elevating up.
Yeah, I actually wrote our entire email sequences and things like that for our new offer that we're doing on our stuff too. Well, when he came back, he was like, what can I help you with? I was like, let me get it out of my brain first and then come in and then do it. And so that's what's been working. And then this last set, he was like, he only tweaked a few of my sentences, but overall,
for you copywriters out there, that's copy logicking, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like asyncing, but like working on copy together. Great. It's a great book, by the way. I recommend
great
it.
book. Yeah.
I don't think I read that book.
Yeah, it's just being able to bounce ideas off of each other, like being able to write the whole thing out, and then having copywriters or someone who's a little bit more experienced than you go back and edit it, right, and then make certain adjustments. It's kind of like what Russell Brunson did for Steven Larson before Steven Larson did his own thing.
Yeah. So, which begs the final question for all of us. Yeah, what do you guys think, for if someone wants to get into business or learn skills or whatever it is in entrepreneurship? What do you guys think is the fastest way to success? I think so far, from seeing it, I truly think that partnering with somebody already successful who's making a lot of money and helping them win more is the biggest shortcut. And I know like a lot of people won't want to hear that because they're like, oh man, well, I put like 2 years in. That's, it's 2 years, but dude, it flew by. Like the amount of skills you have now, like in my opinion, it makes just so much more sense versus investing into course after course and program after program. And then I feel like that process takes a lot longer. But what do you guys think?
I have to agree 100% because it's like it's one thing to take a lot of information and like know strategy and that kind of stuff. The other thing is being able to implement and execute and see what it's like and get the live feedback from the market and get those reps in, right? And the reality is that sometimes you as a new entrepreneur, it takes you forever to get those at bats. You know what I mean? That's why it takes 10 years for somebody to get really good at marketing sometimes. But if you come into a big business that's already a fine-tuned engine, it already does 8 figures or even 7 figures, right? They already have their processes dialed in, and you can just learn from what's going on there and like apply it. Dude, that's and if you get better, especially if you can grow those results and you can see like your work like having a positive benefit on the revenue and all these things like just accumulating over time, like that's going to build your confidence. And of course, like you're going to get paid while you earn. Well, like learn while you earn. That's the phrase. Yeah.
Well, plus I'd imagine for you, I mean, you're seeing Jason literally execute at a high level, right? So I imagine like if you're just being there learning the skills and you're looking at him and the team and be like, holy cow, like this guy does not procrastinate. He just goes and executes.
Actually, I have a funny story about this. So every week we had a like a task list, right? So you could it was everybody could see it, visible to the whole team. And so you could see like how many people, like how many tasks from the week that somebody would execute. And so sometimes the list would be small, right? Like, people have like 3 tasks they need to get that week. or like 12 or, you know, or whatever, right? I saw one time JC had like 24 tasks on his week, and they were not like small things. Like these are like VSLs, like email copy, like deep research, like writing for other clients, like that kind of stuff. And he would just like knock that shit out of the park. Like, and all of us sometimes would have like much slower things to task to do. So it was definitely cool to see like his
In a week,
execution
you
level.
knock out like all 24 in a week.
Yeah, all of them in a week. Yes, it's
Wow.
crazy. So like it was cool to see his execution level, and like that definitely was like a great motivator for me as well, as I was like, you know, working like, oh shit, I can, you know, I can work harder. You know what I mean? Like I could do more.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool to see because you know, behind the scenes, when people see influencers like that and they see them like making money and like, oh, they're just good at copy, or they're just good at marketing, or they're just a guru. I don't think people really understand the behind the scenes, the amount of work and effort they actually put into it, how good they are at not procrastinating and execution. And you know, those are just normal habits that people have to develop. But in your case, because you were just around it, now you're just like, yeah, I don't have an execution problem. So, you know, really shortcuts it.
Yeah.
I'm very much like I don't like, yeah, I don't like to waste time, and I will like call people out like super hard now. It's like to a ridiculous level. And yes, sometimes it can be kind of tense, but like I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. Like I don't want to waste my time or yours. You know what I mean? Like it's both of us, not just me, you know.
So what happened to the early mornings? Like before you guys kind of were into mentorship and working, you guys used to be like 4 a.m., you know, hustlers. And now I think you guys sleep in a little bit later, right? What was the change of the transition for that? Is Fung rubbing off on you, man?
I'll let him speak on his. I have
um,
my own reasons as well, but I think that would be interesting for you guys to hear as well.
Yeah, so for me, doing the whole 4 a.m. thing every day, right? I needed structure, right? And I'm an extreme person, so I have to give people context, I used to work in the corporate world. I used to be an IT professional and used to live a really lazy lifestyle in general. So I had to put myself on a very structuralized, intense like regimen. Otherwise it wasn't going to click, right? You know, like I had to like make it in my brain that, yo, if you don't get up and execute properly and develop this habit of getting up and getting these things done, not getting down about yourself, like learning the skills, like don't worry about what other people are like building on that front end, so like that, stick to the schedule. And not only that, like I was building a fitness routine too, right? I was a fat guy before, like I was huge, and now not so huge. I just weighed myself at one point in time in my life. I was, 216 pounds. Just now weighing myself on the scale, I'm 140, and I'm just shy of 5'6", right? Like, so someone short is like short of 5'6", and they're 200 pounds. They look like a ball, like you look very round, right? So a lot of those habits were like, pulling me down, trying to like do something and like killing my drive for like wanting to build something. So after doing that for a couple of years, right, like coming here to Florida, um, we just start earlier than everybody else. So I'm allowed to a little bit. If I wake up at 6, it's now 7 or whatever there still, right? Like I don't necessarily need to get up as early as much, because I've instilled a habit in me that the things that I need to get done the first part of my day, that's where my most energy is concentrated. That's where I like really can get stuff done. So had I not done the 2 years of like getting up at 4:30 and then putting myself through a fitness routine and then putting myself on a schedule, learning the skill set, and I wouldn't be as comfortable and confident to execute the things that I do now. Like I can get up at 9 and immediately start executing if I need to, right? Like I don't have to, if I have a late night and I'm networking with people, and I just the other night, actually, me and Wally, typically we're home by like, 8 or 9, right? We were out till 11:30 midnight helping somebody with a marketing strategy. And then I had 6 a.m. workouts the next morning, and literally got up actually this morning, do a 6 a.m. workout and crushing the day, right? But I've instilled that habit that I can confidently execute in a shorter, concentrated amount of times, because I just learned how to focus now. So, but I definitely needed that schedule. I wouldn't be able to do what I do now if I didn't have that, for sure.
That same thing for you, Wally?
So I think on my end, what was required of me to run a organization of 32 people, read through all the messages, all the things that was required of me to do that. I had to wake up early, and I had to had to get things done before I ran my team calls and that kind of stuff. Similar to what you're probably experiencing right now, Dylan. Um, not to jab at you, but I love you, but it's funny. I see a lot of what happened, what I was dealing with within you right now, which is great. It's awesome. You're busy and there's a lot of things happening. For me, the amount of responsibility and tasks is much lower. I don't have to deal with a lot of people. So the projects I do have, I have plenty of time to execute on them, right? So for me, I'm at a point now where I've done the hard work and execution to build up the skills. I know I have them. So now I'm more about okay, I'm gonna relax and enjoy my life and also do the things I love at the same time, right? And I need to have that balance. And also meeting more people, networking, not being in my house working, not being on phone calls, that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, juggling a team and stuff and the content and everything else. Yeah, it's a lot. Definitely. I wake up early now and I work out before starting my team meetings, because if it gets to be later in the day when it comes to appointments and stuff, there's just I'm not going to have enough time to work out. There would be no daylight or anything. And I typically work out at home. So that makes a lot of sense. So I guess in final, right? What's the goal? We're 2022 time of recording this, right? We've all elevated up. We know what level we're trying to get to. What are we shooting for in 2022?
Why don't you go first? How about we went, now you go. You go first.
Yeah, want me to go first? Well, my goal is to right now I've helped my clients have so much success, right? We recently finally had the skill set of being able to duplicate myself down to a simplistic level, and even hiring new people doing complete outbounds. We're cracking 100K months, completely cold, which is huge for me, huge for, the confidence and can I do this in a B2B space and everything. And, I'm ready to go and launch and I want to accomplish the same thing for myself. Right. I've done it for my clients. And I'm more than confident being able to do it for other people. I just know the process now. I've done it so many times. So that's my goal by end of 2022 is to be at 100K a month.
Nice. I like it. So yeah, well, I got a couple of things really, I guess. I want to at least to have 70 people in my networking group locally going out doing 30-second pitches. And then in tandem in that, I want that to have helped at least 25 entrepreneurs be confident in their messaging, right? And then of that, I hope my offer sells at least to 100 people this year, because I worked damn hard on that motherfucker.
Now for you guys, but so even if that comes into fruition, 70, that's a lot, right? I don't think it would fit at the normal location. So where do you guys pivoting the change to be?
Well, that's what's interesting about the whole networking piece too, right? I've had a couple of locations reach out to me already that really love what we're doing, right? The networking group, it's free to attend and it's highly valuable, where we do 30-second pitches,
How many people listening would love that, by the way? Literally, your stuff's growing so much that people hear about it and are reaching out to you to offer you a location because they know it's growing and they love what you're doing. That's called a good product, by the way.
Yeah. And so I've had 2 locations reach out to me and ask me about it already. And I said, when I consistently get once I pack out this coffee shop, it was about 35 people at max capacity. So when we hit 25, we're going to have to actually go look for a new place. Yeah. It's either that or I go get a megaphone and I just start, walking up and down the street. But yeah, if it gets that big, we'll have to go to a new location. And that's really the goal, right? Actually get so big that I have to go to a new place. That have to put me in an area that I can house all these people, because we're bringing them business.
Yep. Finally, Wally, kick it off strong. This is it. It's the moment everyone's been waiting for. You've grown. You got to work with your sensei for 2 years. Now you're a lone wolf, able to follow in his footsteps and grow a big brand. What do you got for me?
Yeah. So I don't think I'm gonna build a big brand as a copywriter per se. I think that where I'm gonna really like hit it this year is probably in the NFT like Web3 space.
Smart, smart man.
Launching some NFT collections and then like working on the back end with some of these in it like crypto companies and that kind of thing. I think that that's where I'm going to hit it hard this year, and I would love to hit 20K passive income by the end of this year. Like
Yeah.
I do nothing, and it just comes in
Oh,
like that.
can I piggyback off of that real quick? I want to piggyback off of that because I have also a goal in this NFT space, and I think I told you a little bit about it, Dylan, but we plan on launching an NFT like collection specifically for us. That's something that me and Wale like have like we thought about this on a 12-hour drive, and I was like, dude, this is it.
This is the salt
And
one?
yes, it's
Okay.
releasing. Yeah,
It's dope. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm calling it seasoning salts, and so there's seasons to it. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I can get into I can get into a lot of it.
Plug into that.
Right, I'll plug it in, but I would say the end goal for that is to at least have these launched, and then the envision that I have for it is to maybe create a comic book. But that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
But for you, Wally, when you say 20K passive, do you mean that even like, for you, does that count if it's crypto like passive, or do you mean like actual like business USD passive?
USD passive.
My dude, he's like, nah, I could do that. He's like, I'm already gonna do the crypto. He already knows it. He already knows it's good.
Yeah, I'm already there. Yeah, the 20. I need the USD. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, listen, for everyone that has been tuned in, thanks for staying with us this long. Wanted to give you guys an update on everything. Hope you guys got some value from the lessons that we've learned and the lessons that we're going to continue to give. So going to be hitting the podcast and the show a lot more consistent. I want to do a show a week for everybody here. I'm gonna do my best to get as many awesome special guests onto the show where we can cover different polarizing topics. One of the things that I love about this is like, even if I have an opinion on a lot of the topics that they're going to have, I'm going to play devil's advocate. So whether I agree or disagree, whatever, when guests on the shows, I'm going to say, well, a lot of other people say this. What do you say? Because to me, that's where a lot of the breakthroughs are coming in. And those are my best moments as well when I like learning things. So thanks to everyone who has been, following the show since the beginning. Thank you everyone who is catching us new. Make sure you guys like the video. Please subscribe to the podcast. You guys are on the road. You guys literally just go in on on Apple or Spotify and just listen to it live. But for those who are actually viewing it on YouTube, as always, I love you guys. I'll see you guys in future episodes, and I hope you guys have a killer week. Plan out your goals. Get a mentor if you don't have one, so you can be like Wally and look freaking amazing shirtless and have your mentor like take your style, man. That's like the ultimate dream and goal. That's what I'm striving for. I'm a scrub until that happens, man. So I got to get to that level. But hope everyone has an awesome, fantastic day. You too. Thank you guys for taking time to be on the show today as well. As always, I love you too. And everyone, see you on the next episode, The Knowledge Boner Experience.
See ya. Thanks.
From side.